Welcome to the DX Today podcast, where you get facts and no hype. I'm Ryan, and today we're looking at a shift in the digital landscape that is, quite frankly, unprecedented. We are moving from an era where the internet was a tool for human connection to an era where it is becoming a mirror for artificial intelligence.
It's a bit eerie when you think about it, Ryan. Thanks for having me. I've been digging into this report titled The Authenticity Crisis, and the numbers are honestly staggering. We're talking about a world where human-made is no longer the default. It's becoming a luxury brand.
Exactly. For years, experts from Europol and Gartner were warning us that by 2026, 90% of online content could be synthetically generated. But according to the latest data, we're effectively already there in terms of consumption. We've hit an 80% threshold.
Wait, let's pause there. 80%? Are you saying 80% of everything I see on my phone is AI?
Not necessarily everything that exists, because the internet still holds decades of human archives, but 80% of what is consumed daily. Think about your TikTok For You page, your Instagram feed, or Google's new AI overviews. These are algorithmically curated, and increasingly, the content itself is being generated or heavily augmented by AI to keep you scrolling. It's what the report calls the saturation of the digital commons.
It reminds me of that dead internet theory that used to be a fringe conspiracy. The idea that the internet is just a closed loop of bots talking to bots, and humans are just watching.
It's not a theory anymore. It's a measurable metric. Imperva's 2025 Bad Bot report indicates that automated traffic, bots, now accounts for over 51% of all global internet activity. When you mix that with AI-generated text and images being served to us, the human element is being squeezed into a very small corner.
I want to go back to how we got here. This didn't happen overnight. The report breaks down the historical context, and it's interesting to see the evolution. We started with assistive tech, right? Like autocorrect, or those basic photo filters we all used in 2012.
Right. That was the assistive era. But by 2024, we pivoted hard into the generative era. That's when platforms like Meta, YouTube, and TikTok were essentially forced to step in. They had to implement mandatory disclosure policies for photorealistic synthetic media. Why? Because deepfakes became so good that the average user couldn't tell the difference between a real news anchor and a digital ghost.
And that's where the authenticity crisis really begins. Because if I can't trust my eyes, I stop engaging. I saw a study in the report from Hootsuite. 62% of consumers say they are less likely to engage with content if they know it was created by AI.
Exactly. That's the trust deficit. And it's led to a phenomenon the report calls AI slop.
AI slop. It's a perfect term, isn't it? It's that low-quality, high-volume synthetic content that's just everywhere. It's designed to capture clicks, but it has no soul. And it's actually hurting the platform's bottom lines because users are starting to abandon them.
It's a flight to quality, Chloe. Or more specifically, a flight to authenticity. Look at the Pew Research Center data from 2025. 76% of Americans say it is extremely important to know if what they're reading or watching was produced by a human. That's not a small majority. That's a mandate. And it's not just a feeling. There's actual science behind why we prefer human-made. The report mentions research in Nature Human Behavior and PNAS Nexus. They did this fascinating experiment. They showed people the same piece of art and the same news story. One group was told it was human-made, and the other was told it was AI-generated. And let me guess, the human-labeled one performed better?
Significantly. People rated the human version higher for creativity, effort, and overall value, even when the work was identical. We have this human premium in our brains. We value the struggle, the intent, and the lived experience behind the work.
Which brings us to the technical side of this. If humans want human-made, how do we prove it? We can't just take someone's word for it anymore.
That's where the C2PA comes in. That stands for the Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity. It's a big hitting group. Adobe, Microsoft, Intel, Sony, they've developed what people are calling a digital nutrition label.
I like that. A nutrition label for your data. How does it work?
It uses cryptographic metadata. Basically, every time a file is edited or an AI tool is used, it's recorded in the file's history. It's a tamper-evident trail. If you see a photo of a protest, you can click the credential and see if it was captured on a physical Leica camera or generated in Midjourney.
And this isn't just a nice-to-have feature. Governments are making it a requirement. The EU AI Act, specifically Article 50, mandates that AI-generated content must be marked in a machine-readable format. And here in the US, the 2023 Executive Order on AI directed the Department of Commerce to develop standards for watermarking.
It's a high-tech arms race, though, isn't it? As the detection gets better, the AI gets better at hiding.
It is an arms race, which is why the report suggests the focus is shifting. We're moving from trying to detect AI to trying to prove human origin. It's a subtle but massive difference. Instead of saying, this isn't a bot, creators are having to prove, I am a human. And that's created this whole new industry of human-made certification. I was looking at the Not by AI initiative. They have this 90% rule. 90%? That seems specific.
It is. To earn their badge, at least 90% of the creative direction and execution must be human-led. It's like the organic or fair trade label, but for your brain. Even the Authors Guild is getting involved. They've got a human-authored badge for book covers now.
It's becoming a brand identity. If you're a writer, an artist, or even a journalist, your value proposition is now your humanity. We're seeing platforms like HumanMark and Verified Human using blockchain-based timestamps to audit the creative process. They literally forensic audit your work to make sure no generative agents were involved.
It's wild to think we've reached a point where we need a forensic audit to prove a poem was written. But the luxury market is already eating it up. The report says that by 2027, the digital world will be split into 2 tiers.
Let's break those down. Tier 1, the synthetic tier.
Right, that's the free internet. It's infinite, it's algorithmically optimized for your specific triggers, and it's almost entirely AI generated. It's content you consume to pass the time, like digital background noise.
And Tier 2, the authentic tier.
Exactly. This is the premium layer. It's certified human-made. It's where you go for real news, real art, and real connection. And because it's harder to produce and verified by these high-tech standards, it's likely going to be behind a paywall or sold at a premium. Humanity is becoming the new luxury good.
It's a sobering thought. We spent 30 years trying to make information free and accessible to everyone, and now that we've succeeded, we find that the free stuff is often just AI slop. The truth and the human touch are becoming the things only people with money can afford.
It also changes how we look at hardware. The report mentions cameras that sign photos at the point of capture. Imagine a world where a photo is only real if it's digitally signed by the physical sensor of the camera the moment the shutter clicks.
We're moving towards a hardened reality. But there's a silver lining here, isn't there? This crisis is actually forcing us to define what it is that makes human creativity special.
I think so. If an AI can write a standard how-to article or a generic pop song, it pushes humans to be more weird, more personal, more messy. Because AI is very good at being perfect, but it's terrible at being human.
That messiness is exactly what that Reuters Institute study pointed out. Only 19% of global audiences are comfortable with news created mostly by AI, even if there's a human checking it. We want to know that someone with a pulse and a reputation is standing behind the words.
Which is why the flight to authenticity is so important for the future of journalism and education. In Canada, a survey by The Days found that 82% of residents want all synthetic media to be labeled. People are hungry for a way to navigate the noise.
So looking ahead to the next few years, what's the takeaway for our listeners?
I think it's awareness. We're in a transition period. Right now, the human-made labels are voluntary, but soon they'll be as common as the verified checkmark used to be. You're going to have to start looking for those content credentials.
And for creators, the message is clear. Lean into your humanity. Don't try to compete with AI on volume or speed. You will lose that battle every time. Compete on perspective, on lived experience, and on the things an algorithm can't simulate.
The report calls it hardware-level provenance. It's a technical term, but it really just means I was here, I saw this, and I'm telling you about it. That's the future of value.
It's a fascinating, if a bit daunting, road ahead. We're essentially rebuilding the concept of trust from the ground up.
And it's about time. I think we all felt that shift where the internet started feeling a bit hollow. These labels and standards are just the first step in filling that void back up with actual people.
Well, Chloe, thanks for breaking this down with me. It's a lot to process, but as the report says, the saturation of the digital commons is already here. We just have to decide how we're going to navigate it.
Always a pleasure, Ryan. Stay human out there.
We will. To our listeners, if you want to see the full report and the technical breakdown of the C2PA standards, we've linked the sources in the show notes. No hype, just the facts.
Thanks for listening.
This has been the DX Today podcast. We'll see you next time.